Mr. Arula Nandan, Director, Department of Commerce, and once again, this session will be moderated by Ms. Manisha Gupta. Ladies and gentlemen, we request your presence. We request all the panelists to please quickly join us on the dais. Along with that, everyone, we request Mr. Vikas Singh, Managing Director and CEO, MMTC PAMP India Private Limited, to please join as one of our esteemed panelists here.
Do I have to sit there or do I want to? Yeah, I'll announce it. So I should sit down? You can just join us. I'll just announce from here. Yeah, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Professor Sundaravali for her keynote address first. Let's have a huge round of applause, please. Let's begin this session now.
Do I speak from here? That's fine. Do you have a cardless with this thing? That will take time. That's okay. That's okay. Shall we begin? Shall we begin? Good evening, everyone. A warm, pleasant good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to be here. My name is Sundaravali. I'm a professor in IIM Ahmedabad. And today in my session, I'm going to talk about supply and digitalization of gold. From morning I had been listening to a couple of sessions and talks, and much has been spoken about supply chain. And in particular, there are certain things which I would like to add, and certain things which I would like to comment. In supply chain, right from sourcing till the consumer, we have various entities, typical supply chain. Apart from gold, when you are looking at this, you say about sourcing, you say about wholesaler, you say about retailer, trader, and customer. And in this particular context, in regards to gold, we have mining, we have traders, we have banking and banks, we have exchanges. In this particular context, what is most important is, what is the value that is added between the multiple entities, You have somebody in the upstream, you have somebody in the downstream. Where exactly value is added? What value you add to your upstream? What value do you add to your downstream? What is your value proposition in the complete supply chain? This is something that I think I was a little disconnected in some of the conversations we had in the morning, and as well as in the afternoon. And the second part is, among every entities that we are seeing, say for example in the traders, say for example in the banking sector, within which, how does one maintain competitiveness? How does one maintain competitiveness? How does one maintain a fair and equitable supply chain is something that the policymakers also have to worry about. And here that we are speaking about, some of the conversations that we said, our internal mining capacity is something like, 14% of our India's, in particular to India, our internal capacity is met with 14% of domestic mining. Rest comes from import. Rest come from import, and tentatively we have seen that the import gold is 800 odd, and that's been constant for a whole lot of years. This is what we have seen, and we have observed from the multiple statistics that we have done so far. And in this context, what is the role of each of the players? in particular now, what happened before IABX and post IABX? Where exactly are we seeing inefficiencies? Post IABX, how are the trade agreements facilitating the trade? Perhaps, all of us have got one common agenda or one common purpose, which I would like to call, we have been saying that a couple of times, we have repeated here, jewel of the world, jeweler of the world. So, for one instance, IGPC works on how to make India as the gold capital of the country. Perhaps we are the uh, we are the we are the top, or perhaps the second top users are holding gold. That next to we next very close next to China. In that context, when we have so much of gold reserves within us, how gold can be brought into formal economy? This is one of the basic, and this is one of the fundamental problem that we try to address, and we try to find out innovative and breakthrough solutions and models for bringing it out. In that context, when we say that India holds the highest amount of gold, perhaps in terms of jewel gold, perhaps in terms of solid gold, perhaps in terms of some of the newer products like digital gold or ETFs or other products that we are speaking about, what exactly is the proposition and the ratio between each of these products? How we can promote that? This is going to be significantly discussed, or this is going to be a significant agenda for IGPC. This is what we are trying to do. This is what we are trying to do. Not only educate the consumers, but also about the industry. So this is one particular agenda of us. In the context of making India the gold capital of the world, the next thing is that we interact very closely with IFSCA as well as the central bank. In the morning that we saw in the post lunch, one of the presenters showed that the central bank has procured quite a good volume of gold. What is the role of central bank in mobilizing other domestic banks as well as the international banks in this gold trade? So that is one more thing. Our research studies tell us the participation of domestic banks in this gold business is less than optimal. Much more is desired. If international banks want to participate, want to import, want to export either raw gold, or when they want to import jewelry gold, some significant amount of trust building has to be there, and that has to be facilitated through good trade agreements, and that has to come through IABX and IFSCA. This is something that we are working upon. And RBI also has a role in this. So we are trying to come out with policy documents which will enable this. Let me tell you how we are trying to understand this entire concept and how we are trying to promote this in the entire concept. One is that if a supply chain has to be effective and efficient, if we want this supply chain, here gold is one commodity which is borderless, and one more thing that I really love about gold is, I do not know how many of you may agree or may not agree with me. Gold is one commodity which is price inelastic, meaning all other commodities that you say, when price increases, the demand and the consumption goes down. Typically in gold, at least the way in which Indians look at gold, very rarely there is a distressed selling. Gold is purchased not for disposing. Gold is purchased only for hedge. In that context, when our consumption is very high, when our holding is very high, how we can influence the global gold trade? How we can influence the influence the gold in the global business? So that is one thing that we are trying to look at. Now, in the context of gold trade, another way in which gold is being procured or gold is being circulated is through recycling. So, in recycling, what are all the good models for recycling? That is something that we have been trying to do. Another thing that we say, whether in terms of consumers, another research study that we take is how I can bring in bottom of the pyramid consumer into formal economy. Just because if I am able to bring his gold holding into the formal economy, his credit his credit count is going to be higher, and overall our economy is going to have a big push. So that is one thing. This could be applicable perhaps to the uh, people or the society in the highest strata as well. In the next context, when you are looking about gold traders or gold business, when you look at circular trading, when you look at circular movement, circular supply chain, gold perhaps in partially finished jewelry products, certain sectors are not too conducive for small sized players. I believe gold is also one such. Either I can call it non conducive, or it may not be a very great level playing field for this. Small and medium players find it tough to survive and sustain in this. Perhaps our government policies have a role to play in that. This again we are seriously looking at, and we are trying to study this part very seriously. Just because I don't want to be in the very come off as a very small player, smaller players try to export gold or export gold as partially finished or almost finished jewelry products for tax benefiting, and the same gold is recycled back, is returned back to the country as solid gold. So this has got some amount of inefficiency, and this is something to favor or to something to benefit these small players. We are trying to look at how our policies can be made better so that we get somewhat a level playing field, transparent field, fair field for everybody to participate in the trade. This is one more agenda. The other agenda that we are trying to talk about is, as I told you, about the banking organizations. A whole lot of banking organizations, if they want to participate in that, how do I ensure trust within the business community as well as the uh, consumers? Unless otherwise that trust building happens, participation may be suboptimal. This is one more thing that we are trying to look at. And I think with this context, I would, look forward to my esteemed panel members to deliberate on some of the items that I mentioned. I think I have covered most of the things that I wanted to communicate about. And over to the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. And well, yes, you did cover a lot of things and would help us take it forward from here. I mean, as you were mentioning, that India is the second largest consumer importer of gold as well, after China, that is. But there are, while the things may have improved quite a bit in the last many years, but there still are some concerns when it comes to supplies, whether it is about the fragmented nature of the business here, the import duties, the competitiveness, the duty drawback, etc. There are some of the issues that the industry still looks at and is concerned about, and it's exactly what we will try to address in our conversation here. Prakash ji, let's start with you first. जब सप्लाई की बात आती है, जब इंडस्ट्री को आप यहाँ पर देखते हैं, ऑफ कोर्स हमने काफ़ी सारी इंप्रूवमेंट्स होते हुए देखी हैं, चाहे पॉलिसी फ्रंट पे हैं या एसोसिएशन फ्रंट पे हैं, काफ़ी कुछ काम यहाँ पर किया गया है. एज ऑफ नाउ इंडस्ट्री कैसे देखते हैं?
Thank you for good presentation. So such a good presentation by Professor Sundaravali. मगर मैं हिंदी में बोलता हूँ. मगर ऐसा है कि जब हम एक्सपोर्ट प्रमोशन काउंसिल से ये डेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं रिगार्डिंग दी कंस्ट्रेंट्स ऑफ ऑन सप्लाई ऑफ गोल्ड constraints regarding supply of gold, so especially I would like to address about the constraint that the exporters are feeling while procuring gold for the purpose of converting it and executing their orders. So that means the duty-free gold that I will be deliberating upon. So at present, if you go through the policy that enables us to draw duty-free gold and sell it into the international market as a finished product after converting, you see, government is definitely pushing, since every year they push and give us targets that you are to increase your level of export and achieve this target and that target. So as a trade body, we are doing our level best to achieve highest targets, but when we feel that the government itself is creating impediments through its policy, then we get some sort of frustrated. And today I am so fortunate that to my left is Captain Kapil Chaudhary. She is Joint Secretary, Duty Drawback Department. And to my right is Mr. Arula Nandan. He is a very old friend of this council and Director, Department of Commerce. And the bankers are also here who are the main suppliers of the commodity. तो मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा मैम कि हमारी पॉलिसी को अगर आप ठीक से पढ़ें तो ये पॉलिसी एक्चुअली एक चीज़ को कंटेम्पलेट करती है कि एक्सपोर्टर के पास पहले ऑर्डर आएगा, वो ऑर्डर आने के बाद में बैंकर के पास जाएगा या नॉमिनेटेड एजेंसी के पास जाएगा और ड्यूटी फ्री गोल्ड प्रोक्योर करके उसको प्रोसेस करके एक्सपोर्ट कर देगा। और दूसरी चीज़ ये है कि सारी की सारी पॉलिसी है जो रिवॉल्व करती है अराउंड द रिप्लेनिशमेंट स्कीम, क्योंकि आप पॉलिसी का नाम भी आप देखिएगा तो गोल्ड रिप्लेनिशमेंट स्कीम है। सो गोल्ड इज सपोज टू बी रिप्लेनिश्ड, द क्वांटिटी दैट वी हैव एक्सपोर्टेड that has to be replenished by the nominated agencies duty free. So these are the two salient features of this export policy. So मैं पहले दूसरे पर आता हूँ, फिर पहले के ऊपर आऊँगा। तो दूसरे में ऐसा है कि ठीक है, जो एक्सपोर्टर बैंकों के साथ में कनेक्टेड है और पुराने उनका बिजनेस चल रहा है, दे आर हैप्पीली ड्रॉइंग एंड डूइंग इट, दैट्स ओके। नए एक्सपोर्टर को जब हम चाहते हैं कि इसका स्कोप बढ़े, और इतना बड़ा मार्केट है वर्ल्ड का, और भारत का हार्डली 3-4% का हमारा स्टेक है उसमें एक्सपोर्ट मार्केट में, तो इस बाज़ार को बढ़ाने के लिए हमें नंबर ऑफ़ एक्सपोर्टर्स बढ़ाने पड़ेंगे। और नंबर ऑफ़ एक्सपोर्टर्स बढ़ाने के लिए जब नया एक्सपोर्टर कोई जाता है बैंक के पास, तो बैंक को बड़ी दूरबीनें लगानी पड़ती है, क्योंकि वंस दे पार्ट विद द ड्यूटी फ्री गोल्ड एट द रिक्वेस्ट ऑफ द एक्सपोर्टर, उसके बाद सारी की सारी लाइबिलिटी, इवन इफ द एक्सपोर्टर फेल्स, ही डिफॉल्ट्स टू एक्सपोर्ट, वो जो तलवार गिरती है वो बैंकर के ऊपर गिरती है या नॉमिनेटेड एजेंसी के ऊपर गिरती है। सो दे वाई, उनके पास कोई रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटी भी नहीं है और वो सोना नहीं देते हैं उनको। तो इसलिए अब वो लोग क्या करते हैं कि आपका एक रूट है कि ड्यूटी ड्रॉबैक आप ले सकते हैं कि आप अपने डोमेस्टिक स्टॉक का जो गोल्ड है वो एक्सपोर्ट कर दीजिए और उसके बदले में हम आपको ड्यूटी ड्रॉबैक देकर कंपनसेट कर देंगे। गुड, प्रिंसिपली दिस इज़ वेरी गुड पॉलिसी। मगर गोल्ड के बारे में, चूंकि ये एक डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ कमोडिटी है जिसका रोज़ प्राइसेस दिन में 10 बार घटता और बढ़ता है, और इवन ड्यूटी का भी जो स्ट्रक्चर है गवर्नमेंट ने बना रखा है, तो एक वीक में फॉरेन एक्सचेंज को ये लोग स्थिर करते हैं कस्टम्स के लिए, दूसरे वीक में फिर गोल्ड की वैल्यू को स्थिर करते हैं, तो ऑलमोस्ट एवरी वीक ड्यूटी थोड़ी बहुत इधर उधर होती रहती है, और जैसे जैसे मार्केट फ्लक्चुएट करता है ड्यूटी भी वैसे वैसे ड्रेस्टिकली फ्लक्चुएट करती रहती है। तो और ये ड्यूटी ड्रॉबैक का जो सिस्टम है वो है कि आप 6 महीने में आप बोलते हैं कि हम इसको रिव्यू करते हैं, 6 महीने के लिए फिक्स करते हैं। बाकी हमारा एक्सपीरियंस है कि पीछे 3 साल के बाद इस बार ड्यूटी ड्रॉबैक को रिवीजन किया गया है, जो कि लगभग 431 रुपये चल रही थी। जस्ट लेट मी सी, हाँ 431 रुपया 10 पैसा चल रही थी, वो अभी अक्टूबर में 704 रुपया 10 पैसा बनाई गई है। तो इवन 704 रुपया 10 पैसा भी अगर आप दे रहे हैं, अब नाउ इट इज स्टैटिक फॉर एन नंबर ऑफ डेज व्हेन द गवर्नमेंट डिसाइड्स कि चलो भाई इस बार देखते हैं, इसको फिक्स करते हैं। इन द मीन टाइम अगर गोल्ड $2000 से $2200 हो गया, और इवन टुडे आज का जो इम्पोर्ट ड्यूटी है मैम वो 8,35,000 रुपया किलो, 835 रुपया ग्राम होता है। 835 रुपया ग्राम का मैं ड्यूटी सफ़र करता हूँ, और उसको अगर मुझे एक्सपोर्ट करके आप 704 रुपये देते हैं तो आई लूज 131 रुपीज़ इन ए ग्राम। प्लीज़ आस्क, यहाँ पर सब एक्सपोर्टर्स ही बैठे होंगे मेरे ख्याल में, कि 131 रुपया ग्राम की कौन कमाई करता है एक्सपोर्ट करके? कोई नहीं करता है। तो है इम्पॉसिबल। और मेरे पास देखिए, ये अभी 3-4 दिन पहले काउंसिल में एक ईमेल आई थी, वन ऑफ द श्रीजी ज्वेलर्स, आई नेम इट, हमारे कलकत्ते से। उनको एग्जीबिशन में कोई छोटा सा ऑर्डर मिला, 100 ग्राम उसमें गोल्ड लगा और करीब 20-25 लाख के डायमंड लगे हुए थे, तो दैट वाज ए गुड वैल्यू, मगर गोल्ड तो है उसमें, तो 160 ग्राम या समथिंग था। उन्होंने एक्सपोर्ट कर दिया। अब उनके पास जब ड्यूटी ड्रॉबैक आई तो 400 कितने रुपए आई। वो आए कि भाई साहब ये तो मेरे नुकसान हो गया, इसमें मेरे तो गोल्ड में ही कम से कम 1-1 ग्राम में 350-300 रुपया निकल गया। मैंने कहा भाई ये कानून तो ऐसा ही है, क्या करेंगे? फिर उनके पास कोई रिपीट ऑर्डर आया, ये अभी रिसेंट की घटना है। उन्होंने मेल दी कि मैं इस ऑर्डर को कैसे एग्जीक्यूट करूं, अगर मैं करता हूं तो मेरे तो फिर नुकसान होगा। तो ये सरकारी पॉलिसी है, वो नए एक्सपोर्टर को घुसने नहीं देती है। और दूसरी सबसे बड़ी इसमें इम्पेडिमेंट क्या है, देखिए, कि हम जब बात कर रहे हैं कि 800 टन का मार्केट है हमारा इंपोर्ट का, तो अगर 800 टन का इंपोर्ट का मार्केट है और आप ये कंटेम्पलेट करती हैं कि पहले ऑर्डर आएगा उसको जो एक्सपोर्टर है वो सर्विस करेगा, एग्जीक्यूट करेगा, बना के करेगा, इसका मतलब है मेरे देश में जितने सेल्स के में अंदर जितने स्टोर्स के अंदर माल पड़ा है दैट इज नॉन एक्सपोर्टेबल, उसको एक्सपोर्ट करने के लिए कोई गुंजाइश ही नहीं छोड़ी है हमारी पॉलिसी ने। जबकि पॉलिसी ऐसी होनी चाहिए कि आज चूंकि गवर्नमेंट जब रिकग्नाइज करती है कि हमें टैक्स एक्सपोर्ट नहीं करने हैं एंड गवर्नमेंट इज रेडी टू डू दैट, मगर इसके ऊपर विचार करना ज़रूरी है कि अगर कोई ऑफ द शेल्फ खरीदता है आकर के, कोई बाहर से इतने विदेशी आते हैं यहाँ पर, वो कहता है ठीक है भाई साहब ये 400 ग्राम सोने का मैंने पसंद किया है तो आप इसको मेरे नाम से बेच दो, वो भेजेगा तो उसको तो ड्यूटी ड्रॉबैक में मैडम नुकसान हो जाएगा, वो इंटरटेन नहीं करेगा। बैंक के पास जाएगा 400 ग्राम सोना बैंक नहीं देगी। प्रथम बात तो है नए आदमी को इंटरटेन नहीं करना चाहती है, पता नहीं ये लेके डिफ़ॉल्ट कर जाएगा तो हम क्या करेंगे, और अगर डिफ़ॉल्ट नए भी करने वाला हो तो 400 ग्राम नहीं है क्योंकि उन किलो बार से नीचा वो नहीं मंगाते हैं। फिर 1 किलो भी अगर दे देते हैं तो देखते हैं कि जो 20 किलो लेने वाला उसके लिए भी उतना ही कंप्लायंस और डॉक्यूमेंटेशन है, 1 किलो वाले के लिए भी इतना ही है, ये 1 किलो लेकर के बाद में कल तो आएगा नहीं, तो दे डू नॉट वांट टू एंटरटेन, दैट इज़ देयर कॉमर्शियल एस्पेक्ट। अगर मैं भी बैंकर होता मैं भी ऐसा ही करता। तो आप ये जो सारा जो हमारी थ्रू आउट इंडिया जो जितनी स्टोर्स है उसके माल को आप एक्सपोर्ट के लिए खोलिए, और वो तभी खुलेगा जब आप हमें इक्वल कंपेंसेशन देंगे कि आज के दिन अगर मेरे ड्यूटी इसमें इतना सफ़र होता है तो इतना पैसा मुझे मिल जाएगा। अगर ये सर्टेनिटी रहेगी तो यहाँ पर आप देखिएगा कि आज जितने एक्सपोर्टर्स हैं, नंबर ऑफ एक्सपोर्टर्स विल ग्रो 10 टाइम्स। हालांकि टर्नओवर भले ही ना बढ़े मगर 10 टाइम्स एक्सपोर्टर ज़रूर बढ़ेंगे, और हो सकता है कि एक्सपोर्ट डबल हो या ट्रिपल हो। इट विल बी अचीव्ड वेरी सून। अब इसमें देखिए पीछे हम लोगों का एक्सपीरियंस रहा है कि जब भी अथॉरिटीज़ से बात की है एक बड़ा एक प्रश्न उठता है, ये मुझे तो ऐसा लगता है कि ये बच्चे जैसा ही प्रश्न है कि अरे भाई आप पहले एक्सपोर्ट कर दोगे और आप तो एक स्मगल्ड गोल्ड लेके एक्सपोर्ट कर दोगे और उसके बदले में हम आपको इतना ये ड्यूटी दे देंगे, ये कैसे संभव है। मैम पहला बात तो ये कि स्मगल्ड गोल्ड लेकर के मैं लोकल मार्केट में भी बिल बना करके नहीं बेच सकता हूँ, तो एक्सपोर्ट करने की तो बात ही दूर है। अगर कोई कस्टमर आए और मेरा स्मगल्ड गोल्ड से अगर ग्रे मार्केट से माल खरीद के मैंने सोना खरीद के बनाया है, उसका बिल मैं कैसे बनाऊंगा, सेल बिल होता ही नहीं है उसका, तो ये कैसे संभव है कि एक्सपोर्ट बिल बन जाएगा उसका। तो ये एक इस तरह का प्रश्न है कि अच्छा फिर कहते हैं कि अच्छा आपके तो स्टोर में इतना माल पड़ा था, ये तो आपका पहले का पड़ा होगा, इसमें आपने कितनी ड्यूटी सफ़र की है वो बताइए, आपने कम ड्यूटी में अगर लिया है तो हम आज की ड्यूटी क्यों देंगे। अरे भाई आप रिप्लेनिशमेंट कर रहे हो मेरे को और आप कह रहे हो कि आपके पास पुरानी ड्यूटी का माल पड़ा है, तो मैडम गवर्नमेंट के पास भी पुरानी ड्यूटी का सोना पड़ा है, वहीं से निकाल के दे दीजिए हमको। हम कहाँ कहते हैं कि आज वाला सोना दो, आपने गिरवी रखा था वो 100 रुपये तोले का सोना था, उसी में से दे दीजिएगा। तो ये एनोमली को ज़रा ठीक करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। तो मेरा ये रिक्वेस्ट है कि हमारी तरफ से आप जो आशा करते हैं कि आप एक्सपोर्ट को बढ़ाने के लिए कुछ करिए, हम लोग करते हैं और भरसक करते हैं कि उसमें हमारा इंटरेस्ट है, हमारा प्रॉफिट ड्रिवन इंटरेस्ट है, तो हम तो जी जान से करते हैं, हमारा तो वही मोटिव है, दूसरा है ही नहीं। मगर हम चाहते हैं कि कोई ऐसी एनोमली जिसमें देश को कोई नुकसान नहीं हो रहा है, जिसमें कोई राष्ट्रीय कोई घाटा नहीं हो रहा है, एक्सचेकर को कोई घाटा नहीं हो रहा है, उसको बदलने में गवर्नमेंट को इतनी देरी क्यों लगती है। और एक मैं अभी छोटी सी बात बताता हूँ मैडम, अभी एक प्रश्न आया था काउंसिल के पास कि हैदराबाद पोर्ट से फाइंडिंग्स का इंपोर्ट बहुत फिनोमिनली बढ़ गया, ये क्या कारण बढ़ा है। वी न्यू इट कि इसको लोग अब्यूज़ कर रहे हैं क्योंकि गोल्ड के ऊपर 10% ड्यूटी है और काउंसिल का डिमांड बहुत वर्षों से था कि गोल्ड पर जो ड्यूटी है उससे ज़्यादा ड्यूटी आप फाइंडिंग्स पर मत रखिए। गवर्नमेंट एग्रीड, तो इस पर भी फाइंडिंग्स पर भी 10% कर दी, मगर जिस दिन AIDC आई उस दिन गोल्ड पर AIDC ले आए, उस पर लगाना भूल गए, तो ये 5% का जो स्प्रेड हो गया, उस स्प्रेड को लोगों ने अब्यूज़ किया उस पॉलिसी को, और वो क्रूड मंगा करके फाइंडिंग्स और गला के बेचने लगे। तो काउंसिल के पास आया कि इसको कैसे रोका जा सकता है, तो हमने लिखा कि भाई उसको आप समान रूप से ट्रीट करो, AIDC भी लगा दो। और आज ही अभी मेरे पास मैसेज आया है कि AIDC इन पर हो गई है। तो इतनी अगर त्वरित गति से सरकार काम करती है अपनी रेवेन्यू बचाने के लिए, तो एक्सपोर्ट बढ़ाने के लिए भी मैं चाहता हूँ इतनी त्वरित गति से काम करें। थैंक यू मैम।
All right, I think you totally said it all. And I think your friends on both sides perhaps would want to take this on now. Ms. Chaudhary, I don't even want to move ahead to other panelists. There is so much. golden opportunity, and you have them seated around you here. So,
Thank you, Mr. Prakash. Pinch, your name itself says pinch. But we will not get pinched by such array of allegation. So, see, the point which he has made is a valid point, and perhaps the answer would lay in whether we should go for specific duty or ad valorem duty. And we all know that gold rates for are announced once in once in a fortnight. Okay, for all this purpose. And yeah, he said that this duty drawbacks rates takes time. So maybe since madam is here, I would leave it to her for answering whether ad valorem duty is possible and whether it engages our attention for this. Perhaps that would be one of the answer for this. And now coming to other aspects, since I got an opportunity and the time is running up, and since it's a last session, I quickly finish off my points also. I have 3-4 points. One, regarding the availability of gold. He said about the replenishment scheme, and I'm talking about the duty-free availability of gold. There are issues, and almost except DAL, which the DAL MD is representing here, so nobody else is in the business, the nominated agencies who are permitted by DGFT. Then the second class of agencies, the nominated banks, there, and not every bank is in the business. So there must be some reasons we must analyze. And after the third category is the IIBX, which is taking off slowly, and it may take some time to come to the full-fledged transactions. So these are the which are the timelines, and we are working on. We must analyze what are the reasons, whether there is a need to still canalize the gold is a bigger question. That must engage our attention. How long we are going to canalize it? Well, how long we are going to restrict it? Maybe the time will answer this. Then the second aspect within this aspect is, madam, denomination of availability of denomination of gold. The question is there are many demands from small exporters that we must get even gold less than 1 kg. I think the foreign trade policy allows 10 grams and above. But there are logistics issues which are one of the perhaps and pricing reasons, which the industry is itself not wanting, or industry and the bankers, they are unable to transact below 1 kg. However, we remember, and there is a general manager from SBI also here. SBI, Yes Bank, and Axis Bank, and even Mr. Mahendran is here. So they all said we do give gold at 1 kg denominations. And then the next suggestion came for small export, can 2-3 people join together and take that 1 kg. So this perhaps these are some of the aspects which we can look at. Now, coming to again the another issue of gold, the lesser form of gold, that is dore. There is a custom notification, madam, 50 of 2017, and there is a what is that, class number 40, which stipulates that the dore has to be from the mining country, the packing list has to be from the mining company, and then the assay certification also has to be from the one of the labs from the mining country. We again need to look at whether these restrictions, how long they are relevant, and we must deliberate and find a solution to this aspect also. Now regarding Ms. Sundravalli, Professor Sundravalli, who spoke on one aspect is the gold capital. India should be a gold capital. And here the theme of today's and tomorrow's event is raise gold's role in economic growth in India. So the role of gold in fueling economic growth, India as a capital for the gold, these are two synonymous statements which I believe. So how is it possible? So if you are to become a gold capital of the world, first of all you should be able to export gold. So we must ask whether it is possible to export 24 karat gold. The answer perhaps is no as of now. And we must also find out what are the reasons for it. The perception about the industry in the corridors of government is perhaps is in the past was something different, and how we can all work collectively together to improve the perception and also in aid in further policy perspective. That is one. Then regarding the again the aspect which Ms. Sundaravelli spoke of, how can we make India as a gold this thing, gold capital of the world. Another is, and she also mentioned about how can we improve the India gold standards. We have LBMA, we have Dubai gold standards, and we don't have India gold standards. And perhaps here also the answer lies in the Niti Aayog report. They have given slew of recommendations, and which we must all take forward how we can take it to the next level. So India gold standard is something which cannot be done overnight, and the regulatory agencies from RBI and to everybody has to work in tandem, and we would like to hear more from the other panelists. And thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You took that all very, very sportingly. And while you've said that you look into most of the things, some things, as you've said, are not possible or not within the limits, perhaps. But let's get the bankers into it. And Mr. Mahendran, why don't you? You wanna speak on duty drawback first? The disparity on that. Okay.
Okay, you've raised some of the issues regarding duties, the import duties, and the drawback disparity as far as the manner of calculation of the two is concerned. One you say is ad valorem, the other is specific. I would say that when duty drawback was started in 2009, 9, isn't it? So at that time there was a historical thing that even the duty was specific, and it was only later on, I think around 12 or 13, that was the time when it was changed to ad valorem. But we have, I think, carried on with that historical calculation of the duty drawback. But I must commend your council that recently the drawback committee was in session, and your council had made a pitched and a forceful demand. I would commend the council for that. I mean, it was really forceful, but yes, we have noted it. However, we are looking at it from how we can incorporate it, if at all, presently or say sometime in future, based on the legal framework that we have presently under the Customs Act. Because the certain aspects of it that were discussed may require certain tweakings, and that the council is aware of. And as it is, we have this practice of reviewing your duty drawback rate for gold and silver jewelry, etc., on a quarterly basis. So I know that for the last 2-3 years, it could not be taken up. I would not say it was not, but yes, it could not be taken up. Of course, the 2 years were of course quite challenging when we were dealing with pandemic and working with very skeletal staff, and you know, just trying to keep the international trade going, so that our exports, our imports, the cross-border movement of goods was not hampered. So we managed that, we have come out of it, and we have taken a stock of everything. And then finally, when we got our committee to sit and meet and decide, they are considering all the requests, that I would say. And now this is going to be, we are back in a normal manner of functioning. So we should be now carrying out that quarterly reviews that I assure you of. And regarding the dore bars, etc., that was regarding. Oh, country of origin. Well, as of now, I would say that you please keep it on the table, and let's keep it there for the time being, because as it is, that gold, silver, they are quite tricky commodities. I would say that, and you yourself accepted that just 1 or 2%, I mean 5% here or there, and then you see a spurt somewhere, and the trade itself taking certain advantages, which fine, it's permitted by law. I'll say that, but let's have a look at that in due time.
Ma'am, would you want to define due time?
Let's keep it at due.
And when is the next quarterly meeting?
For?
You said these keep coming in for quarterly
the last
reviews.
date was notified in October, so it's due in January. It's a quarter.
Okay.
Oh, the council knows it.
And there's a week to go for January. You want to say something? July?
Definitely we can come.
थैंक यू मैम। ये बड़े संतोष की बात है कि इस प्लेटफॉर्म पर कम से कम जो पॉलिसी मेकर्स हैं उन्होंने ये रिकग्नाइज किया कि यस दिस हैज़ टू बी करेक्टेड। इसके लिए आई थिंक दे यस दे डिजर्व अ बिग। अब टेक्निकलिटीज़ की बात है मैडम, मेरा रिक्वेस्ट है आपके साथ कि आपके मिनिस्ट्री के जितने भी आर्म्स इन्वॉल्व हैं, फाइनेंस, कॉमर्स, DGFT, ब्ला ब्ला, उनके साथ में एक काउंसिल की भी कमेटी, काउंसिल से भी रिप्रेजेंटेटिव लेके आप कमेटी गठन करके इसको जल्दी सॉल्व करिए।
I would say that yes, the government has already noted your demand, but the consideration, it is not just for your for the council itself. When we are considering any request, it has larger implications. So when Government of India is making any policy, it has to consider various aspects. I would not put any timeline to it. I'm sorry for it, but the thing is that we have noted that yes, there is a demand. It will be placed before the concerned arm of the government or arms of the government which have to consider it. Okay. But to say that we have noted and we are correcting it, I would say that would be a little too early to say that. Your counsel was very forceful, yes, I accept. However, grant us some time. Please, let us consider what we can and we may not be able to accept, or may not be possible or practical, presently at least. So to that extent, I'm sorry to say, but yes, I mean, we are really not going to immediately correct it.
No,
however,
those
but
who
yes.
are already in exports, they don't have any grudge for this anomaly. Actually, council has got the onus in export bade. That's why council is proposing.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying, that yes, you were forcefully projecting it, it has been noted. However, results, let's wait for it. Yeah.
Thank you. You being very gracious on that, and I've seen Prakash ji push you in English and Hindi, and before he does it in any more languages, I will move on.
Excuse me, please.
Yeah.
I have a query regarding MSME for the same. If you permit, I could say that I will have the opportunity. मेरी आवाज़ काफी. No, it's not a question. So later on,
I promise I'll come to you. We'll come to you.
MSME out of them.
That's one of the questions. We'll address that, and if we don't, then we'll definitely come to you.
Because MSME has different requirements
Sure.
within this network.
I'll come to you for that. Mr. Mahendran, do you want to take that, and do you want to take about
No,
an
no, I'll
MSME?
come to MSME
do
also.
that first.
First of all, I would like to thank that. I don't want to take much time because the panelists to my right have already acknowledged some problems which is there, and it's a question of time by which things will be sorted out. So that's a great thing. And I would like to thank Mr. Prakash for having acknowledged the fact that the bankers have got a bigger responsibility in terms of importing gold on their names and then looking at the complete supply chain till the money comes into the bank. So these are two important things. What I would want to acknowledge and then tell most of the people here it is, see, we have been importing 800 tons of gold on an annual basis, which has not changed at all. And that's a great thing which is happening. We're talking about exports. Exports is also growing. There are about 16 banks which is there doing gold business, supplying gold for exporters. I don't think there's been an issue from any of the banks saying that, okay, we have a cap in terms of supplying gold. So there's no cap in terms of supply of gold to any of the jewelers. Yes, we do admit in terms of the ticket size of the bars, most of the banks prefer to have trades in 1 kg bars, and if it's lower than 1 kg bars, we also have an agency DIL which is also doing that. So from a holistic perspective, from a different angle, I don't think it's an issue which is sort of hindering the growth of exports from India. And we had some panelists in the morning, we were talking about the kind of products which we've been exporting, which no other country will do. Answering Madam's question of saying that India is going to be the gold capital, I think we are talking about 25,000 tons of gold which is already there, besides that there is so much amount of gold which is there which has not been accounted for. So as a gold capital of India, we are already there. I mean, I don't think any other country would surpass the amount of gold which we have. We haven't taken the kind of gold which is available in the temple trust and things like that. So we are a very gold-rich country. I mean, there are factors which affect the price of gold, international price. These kind of dynamics and mechanisms are there which any industry will have, and this needs to be sorted out. Coming to the point of SME, I am the candidate for the Precious Metal Division for Karur Vysya Bank, and we, as a matter of policy, try to encourage MSMEs, and the focus is on that. So there are n number of customers across India who are taking 1 kg bars from us. So, as I said, in a nutshell, to summarize, in terms of supplies to the export industry, gold is already available. And there are all the banks who are available, but just if I can take some time to explain to you people the responsibility of the banks. See, we get the gold on behalf of the customers. We are the official importers for this. We are responsible to the regulators. We provide a bond to the government, and that bond does not get cancelled until the authorities are completely satisfied that the complete money has come, the value addition is there, and all such and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of things which the banks hold on their responsibility to see that despite all the handicaps which we have, gold is supplied across India. You will have customers maybe in Rajahmundry and Guntur, an exporter who is taking gold. So the notion that gold is not available for exporters and things like that, I think may not be there. Thank you. Well, one last thing which I wanted to suggest, madam, I mean, if I may permit, I mean, we're talking about duty and drawback. There was earlier 434 or something which was sort of the claim which could be done, which was subsequently revised to 709. Now gold 704. So before Mr. Prakash could calculate, I mean, in today's parlance, there is a differential of almost about 1 lakh per kg.
1 lakh.
Yeah. So the suggestion which I may suggest is that let that duty-free customs duty be pegged to the date on which the customer is exporting. So that becomes easy for them to get the actual refund of whatever they have paid towards customs duty. So that could be probably a consideration which
It's already been filed by
yes, sir. Anyway, sir, I mean that they will
The
definitely
council has
consider
already made that, and you know what?
very forcefully.
There are. I would again say the government of India is
No, it's
not just this.
correct.
There are many aspects to it, and any policy has to take into consideration certain every sector, including the government of India expenditures on infrastructure on various social aspects, and policy is a larger thing.
Correct.
Yes, there is a demand. selling it, I would refrain from saying that. However, it has been received, and yes, we will be sending it to the concerned policy arms, because duty drawback division is not the only policy division that's a party to it.
It could be better in water. It could be taken care under road theft, RODT.
Okay, now once you talk about ROTEP, see, okay, ROTEP में the concept is that it is those taxes and levies which are remitted back to the exporter, which are not being refunded or remitted otherwise under any other scheme. Earlier you had MEIS, there were certain rates, but it was challenged before WTO, isn't it? And we lost this case. We could not evidence that the rates were actually evidenced or based on certain data. The ROTEP committee is presently in session. We have written to all the councils to please provide the data so that committee can consider it and work out a ROTEP rate for your products. Unless and until there is data, the committee will be constrained not to determine. And this exact thing was discussed by the committee when it met. The first meeting of the committee was not with anyone else, but with all the EPCs. They wanted to impress upon all the EPCs that unless and until you give data, they will not be able to provide you a ROTEP rate which is realistic and based on data. They may give you 10%. If they give you 10%, fine. But what is it based on? It will be challenged again. And because we won't have any evidence, we'll lose that case also. I have been asking wherever I go, please submit your industry data. Unless and until you give us data, we will not be able to work out any rate under ROTEP. I'll use this platform again. Please. No data, fine. You're left with the rate that's existing.
Okay, I think Prakashji will come back to you on that, on data. A lot of calculation has been done, but that clearly sounded like a scolding to me. But we will come to that. Mr. Trivedi, I would come to you now. Since we're talking about bankers right now, what is your take on the supplies? Where do you see all of these concerns?
Yeah, as Mr. Prakash has already raised the questions, the bankers have no role. They have to follow the rules and regulations. So, yeah, of course, State Bank has always been into this supply chain, and we have a tie-up with the most of the foreign banks for supply of gold. But the constraints are, of course, there, that once the supply is given, banks have to give a bond. We have also given a bond, and in turn, the exporters are facing some problem, because once we commit and export is not done, then the bank's guarantee is invoked and responsibility lies on the bankers. So what happens is that we also safeguard ourselves back to back. So once we take back-to-back guarantee from the customer, so customer has to deposit a FDR. So to that extent, additional cost is there on the this thing. So what we were telling, since the custom duties are already taking a undertaking from him, if he doesn't export, then the normal duties are imposed on him. So we are also discussing with that how it can be mitigated. So still under discussion stage. So this can be one facility that we can provide for, that additional deposit that he has to make to the extent of custom duty, that he should not, because already he is giving an undertaking and a bond to the custom authorities for importing the gold. And of course, as 1 kg problem is there, that exists, because when we are channelizing this gold through a foreign bank, it takes a lot of logistical arrangements. So supplying a gold less than 1 kg becomes a uh, less economical. So what we do is that we insist for gold, but nowadays we are also trying for that. Like gold coin we have been selling at gold coin. Similarly, we are also trying for the less quantity of gold bars. So that is under initial stage. We are trying for that. And as far as the bank is concerned, we have also facilitated the exporters by providing of our own scheme, came out with the metal gold loan scheme, where the exporters can take a metal gold loan. If he doesn't have a money, he can take the loan in the form of gold itself, and thereafter he can do the export. So that facility also we have extended to the customers. But of course, since it is a very sensitive commodity, and we have also to follow all rules and regulations, and to the regulator also. So we go ahead, but cautiously. But to the genuine exporters, we are definitely facilitating in all the way. Even we have opened our branches inside the SEEP. There is one export promotion is there for the jewels and jewelry. So where we have opened our specialized branch, which we are catering to the exporters only. Similarly, one more branch has been opened for diamond also. We have opened separate branches, and all across the country 26 branches we have especially designated for the supply of gold. So metal supply is not the problem. Of course, these regulations will come in the way. Those who fall into that category, we facilitate them.
So, since so much of work is happening, Mr. Trivedi, and as you said, so many branches are being opened and so many schemes are being facilitated as well, how much growth, as in how many, an approximate number of people are making use of benefit of this?
Say, those exporters who are inside the export promotion zone, most of them are availing facility from us. Most of them are facilitating. Hardly 1 or 2 may not be who are cash rich. So that may not be availing. Otherwise, most of them are availing this either export EPC. We also provide them the export packing credit, and we also purchase their bills. Once they export the document, we discount their bills and provide them the money. So even in case of orders, also they get the orders. Based on the orders, we also provide them the export packing credit, so they can buy the gold by taking loan from us and then export it. So all kind of facilities the banks are extending, and State Bank in TI is almost pioneer in this case.
Mr. Shah, this one is to you, and a lot of questions, and आप एक कड़ी हैं, काफ़ी सारी चीज़ों में इस तरह से चीज़ें आपके पास आती रही.
Thank you so much. When it comes to supply of gold to exporters, big or small, there are two fundamental elements. One, somebody has to import, and somebody has to grant a duty exemption. So, because gold is a restricted commodity under Chapter 71, the Government of India has engaged the banks and agencies for canalizing the import of gold and issued the FTP as the framework for granting duty exemption. This is the overall framework. So apart from the nominated agencies, there are channels for direct imports. Direct imports by SEZ exporters, direct imports under advance authorization, supply by foreign buyers, even duty drawback is a kind of substitute of nominated agencies. But all these channels of direct imports suit only the large exporters. The small exporters necessarily have to depend on the banks and agencies till today. So, what are the issues or challenges before the small exporters, and how DIL is, Diamond India Limited is trying to resolve that? Some of you may know that DIL was formed with the active support of GJEPC to address the issues of exporters and particularly small exporters. We are addressing these issues in 3 ways. 1, access. Second, availability. Third, awareness. What is access? Like Mr. Pincha said, that the small exporters, the doors were closed for opening of the account with the banks and the nominated agencies. So with the DIL, we have opened up the doors. Anybody and everybody, anybody who is a member of a GJPC can come and open the account. We have put it on our website. that the exporters can go to the link and then follow the process to complete the access. It is almost like the people who are not having the bank accounts were given the facility to open the bank account. Similarly, for the people who are not having gold supply, we are saying that you can open the account. You need not have to take gold from us, but you have the account available with us. So sometime you might require, you don't have to run here and there or don't have to lose on business. And our process, we have kept it very simple. We open the accounts, do the KYC based on the government issued documents, Aadhaar card, PAN card, the passport, GJPC, RCMC, GST registration and all that. This is not very difficult. So once you prove the proof of identity and the proof of address as per RBI, then you are our customer. We open the accounts of all exporters, big or small. Whether your requirement is 100 grams, your requirement is 1 kilo, 10 kilos, we open the accounts. So for your kind information, we open accounts for 100-gram customers also. We open accounts for new or old exporters. Even if you don't have the track record of exports, you are welcome. We will open. Yesterday you did not have the track record, tomorrow you will have. So we facilitated that process, and we open those accounts for those exporters. So in the process, we have been able to, as of today, as we talk, we have crossed 1,000 customers, and 99.9% are small exporters. Our 99.9% of our customers are small exporters. So to that extent, we have been able to resolve the issue of access to nominated agencies. I would request GJPC, I have been requesting, and we have been meeting the ROs and the ED also, that whosoever is not having an access to nominated agencies for supply of gold, we are there. Please send them to us. I would go one step further. GJPC members, say 1,000 are not registered. They are not having facility. You send 1,000 in one go to us, we will finish up the registration within 1 month. So the problem of access to nominated agencies, once you have access, then only you can think of supply. So the problem of access for us, as we speak, is not there. If it is a problem, it is outside us, because we are not getting the customers for registration. Now, coming to the availability. On the access, we do not take 6 months. 1 week max, we will finish up the registration, because it is simply on the documents. So I would request anybody who is a member of GJPC but not having an account, please open the account with the DIL, you are welcome. You may do the business or you may not do the business, that is fine. But you have the accounts, so that tomorrow, if there is a necessity, you can have it. Coming to the second point, what is availability? This is a very vexatious question. I have been engaging the attention for the last 20 years. So we make available gold under all schemes of FTP, including the replenishment for exhibition, including the exports by post office, and even e-commerce also we tried doing. So if there is any scheme of FTP under which any exporter requires gold, we would try to solve his problem. So it is not that we are only giving outright gold only to the large exporter, nothing like that. So we are in that process trying to enlarge this market. So today there is a couple of transactions, tomorrow there will be a number of transactions. Now we supply gold to the remote test centers. That is one of the problems that are being faced. So logistically, we are supplying gold at 20 main centers. But we have linked ancillary centers to these main centers. Ancillary centers like Junagadh, like Jamunanagar, like Trichy, where the logistics cannot happen to put 100 kilos of gold or 50 kilos of gold. We link it to the main centers where the gold supply can happen. So in the process, gold supply is not affected. I don't see the exporters' demand coming in so that these ancillary centers can become main centers. It is not that the supply is not happening, but I don't see the demands coming in. Okay, so if the demand is per month, say 1 kilo, so it is very difficult to put the supplier's gold 1 kilo at that center. But still we are supplying gold to those centers with the hope that tomorrow they will migrate to being the main centers. We supply gold again in small denominations. We supply gold in 100 grams. Small denominations, we supply gold in 100 grams. This has been a persistent demand of GJPC for ages. We have been able to resolve this issue. This is very interesting journey. 5 years back, the minimum ticket size was 5 kilos. Less than 5 kilos, the supplier would not give the pricing of gold. We requested the supplier that can you give 1 kilo gold? They said we cannot because we have to engage the dealers who will take the calls. So it will be very costly. So we told them that you extend the facility of your trading system to us. We will punch the in your system. So they extended the facility of their trading system, and in the process we are able to give 1 kilo of gold, and subsequently the banks are also giving. Then regarding the below 1 kilo, that means 100 grams bars, that the overseas supplier will not extend the trading system. So what we did, we aggregated the orders of 100 grams and we punched the trades for 1 kilo. So in the process, we are in a position to give 100 gram bars to the small exporters. I would mention one real case just for your appreciation. Last week, we had supplied 700 grams to one exporter in Jaipur. He submitted a large number of shipping bills. Many of the shipping bills were containing gold content of 1 gram. So, this is the extent of the penetration of supply. This is the extent of the expectation of the exporter going up with the supply. If he is getting supply, his expectation is that I should get a duty exemption even for 1 gram. Okay. So if we are talking that there is no supply, I think we need to change the perception. There are supplies. Yes, there are logistic issues with the banks and all that. It will happen. But that doesn't affect the supply to the industry as long as the DIL is concerned. Okay. And we also supply for silver jewelry exports, but I don't get much of a demand for silver jewelry exports. But we still continue. We are now, in the last IIJs, I was talking to PGI if we can try platinum jewelry exports. Wherever it is possible, it is a kind of incubation that we are doing so that the trade evolves to the next stage. The third one that I say is the awareness. The small exporters do not know where to go. That is the critical missing link. All other things that we are discussing are not specific. My point is the small exporter would not know where to go for getting the duty-free gold. So, what we did that we took up the GJPC registry, 9,000 exporters we called individually. We called over telephone 9,000 exporters. Are you still in business? Would you like to take duty-free gold? Okay, we noted down whatever was the outcome. And we are having the jewelers meets at various centers, whether it is Surat, whether it is Hyderabad, whether it is Delhi. We are having the jewelers meet to ask the exporters to come to the fold. We are putting up the stalls in IIJs just to tell the people that you can come and take the gold from us. The point that we are making is that the difficult processes of a supply have been resolved. But I think there is a shortage of demand which will meet the critical quantity of supply. So far as we are concerned, in DIL, I would say we do not have shortage of supply, we have a shortage of demand. The narrative should be redefined hereafter. Thank you.
I just needed one more final line of questions with you. One, how are you pricing this gold? And two, how much of gold has been disbursed till time?
Sorry?
How are you pricing this gold?
As I told you, the supplier will price 1 kilo. But I have told my small exporters who need 100 grams, that you leave your orders with me. As I aggregate 1 kilo, I will price 1 kilo, I will issue the invoice for 100 grams. I am pricing 1 kilo, I get one invoice from the exporter, supplier, and I am issuing 10 100 grams invoices to my customers. So his problem is over.
And how much gold has been dispersed like this?
I would offhand not remember, but mostly we are doing this. Mostly we are doing this. Because we do not have large exporters with us.
Yes, I can vouch for it.
Okay.
Actually, they are doing Samaj Seva rather than.
Are they making profit? Are you making profit?
Sorry?
Samaj Seva.
Yes, no, really they are doing Samaj Seva and they are very transparent also.
I just want to understand the pricing part of it because I.
Pricing is, as I told you, the supplier would price 1 kilo. But my customers are 10 in number for that 1 kilo. So I get one price from the supplier, and at that price I issue 10 invoices. So his problem is over. What Mr. Prince has said.
She's meaning your service charge.
Sorry?
What are you making out of this? How are you pricing this gold?
See, how are we making money?
No, service charge.
Premium. Okay. See, the premium, sometimes there is a perception that the supply premium has gone up. Sorry? There is a perception that supply premium has gone up. Yes, supply premium has gone up. Whether the agency premium has gone up, that is debatable. But the supply premium has gone up. Why? Because earlier, the center where we were getting gold at $2, it is now coming at $4.50. Why the supplier has options to send gold to Turkey, to COMEX, to China at $7 or $8? Why should he send gold to India at $4? But at our request, they are sending. So for the end consumer, the $2 has become $4. The second point, that we were earlier importing 200 kilos consignments. Because the supplier would not block his money, they have become very aware. They want the gold to be consumed in 15 days. The import lot size has come down to 50 kilos. So from 200 kilos to 50 kilos, if you drop down, the transportation cost remains the same. So the per ounce cost of our supply has gone up. Okay. So much of the cost in the channel, we are observing. We have a bank guarantee cost. We are observing those costs. We are basically doing, practically we are doing a service. We are happy to do this service. Because this is a company which is of 70 members of GJEPC, and it is not linked, aiming at profit that way, but it is linking at expanding the market and penetrating the market. There will be growth of the exporter segment going ahead. So that way we are fine, and we will be very happy if this export increases like anything. And we will be happy to contribute in whatever modest way that we can. Thank you.
All right. So we wish more exporters to you. Vikas, I see you. Well, MMTC is a brand that I do understand. So tell us about supplies, on how you face and various issues, concerns that rest of the panelists have. Do you also are part of this?
Sure, Manisha. Thanks very much. For a moment, I thought you'd forgotten me. So, listening to this conversation, a lot of thoughts crossing my mind, and there are some ironies here in what's being discussed, and I'll try and explain why so. If you see this market pre-COVID and post-COVID, what we're seeing is volatility of unprecedented proportions. The way the price moves, I mean 1800, 1900, 2000, 2080, 2020, I think the biggest challenge that we are facing as MMTC PAMP is how do you plan to supply? I completely agree with Mr. Nirakan Chand that there is no problem on supply. As a matter of fact, India is in a sweet spot. Everyone wants to be a part of India. The mines are very happy to send to India. We are continually deciding in terms of shipments, should they go to Switzerland or should they come to India? And it depends on a function of what is the market likely to be like, and therefore what should we bring in. Let me also share some numbers with the audience and with the panel. Pre-COVID, MMTC PAMP was supplying almost about 12-13 tons of gold a month. Today we do about 6. Why so? I think there are constraints that we've been trying to flag off. We have conversations with RBI underway on this. The refiners are allowed 90 days for remittances. The banks are allowed 180 days. So automatically there are some odds against you. If you bring in during COVID, we had metal with us, and we had a lockdown of roughly about 120 days. We were stuck with 5.5 tons of gold that we couldn't move. It took us 3 months to get RBI to give us permission to sell that gold, remit that money without any default coming on us. So these are the kind of challenges. Now, in this scenario, if you are not allowed interoperability between India and global markets, to put it simply, export of 24 karat gold, in a way you're tying our hands behind our back. Because the beauty that Switzerland enjoys as a country, and imagine that country has got no gold, has got no source of doré whatsoever, but it has the most amazing refining and regulatory system. Metal moves in, metal moves out, zero taxes, zero VAT, and it is bringing in revenue, which is what we've been highlighting, what India should logically be getting. The value chain, the entire value chain behind this sector is so powerful. Whether you talk about insurance, you talk about freight, you talk about security, you talk about craftsmen, you talk about artisanship, you talk about refining, you name it. And you can be bringing billions and billions of dollars into the exchequer just by building this value chain. And I think this is where India possibly steps are being taken. I'm hoping that there will be more which will be taken. It's like they say, there are decades when nothing happens, and then there are months when decades happen. I believe we are in a time when there are months when decades will happen. So, fully confident that we'll get there. Now, if I were to put 3 asks on the table in terms of what would make us able to supply to this industry, which is so vital for the growth of the economy, and also to meet the Prime Minister's vision of $5 trillion, number one, exports, 24 karat. There is IIBX is sitting there. We've been, pleading the cause of IIBX as that one gateway. If we can get 24 karat exports, suddenly bringing in metal, moving out metal is just not a problem for us. We can cater 5, 6, 7 tons extra versus what we're bringing in. And I think to a large extent, and this is the irony in this conversation, we're saying there's no metal, and here I'm saying we can bring it in, but do allow us some space. So that's one part of it. Second is the proverbial discussion on GMS. GMS, 25,000 tons, 30,000 tons, whatever be that number. If the partnering with banks can be stronger, for example, we made these representations. As a matter of fact, we've had conversations with SBI on this. The banks are not allowed to hold a retail outlet to allow for buyback of gold from consumers. It's like, simply put, if there is a branch with a lot of fixed deposits where logically there would be gold stored, if MMTC, PAMP or anyone else can set up a small 10 by 10 foot counter and say, all right, get your gold valued, you want to sell it to me, I'll buy it back from you, you want to give it on gold loan, give it on gold loan, but the circulation of the metal keeps happening. If that is facilitated, then certainly you're taking a step forward. I'm not even getting into temples and the trusts and the thousands of tons of gold sitting there. That's another conversation. But there again, it has to be done in partnership with the banks. We do that, you're certainly talking about a very different language. I think the third is hedging in terms of our exchanges versus the global exchanges. Till the time we don't allow a COMEX with an MCX versus Shanghai, last year, when India was running at discounts of 30 to 50, $52 an ounce, $53 an ounce, Turkey was at a premium. London was at a premium. New York was at a premium. Silver was at a premium. Why would we lose that opportunity to another country? We are saying make in India. You got refiners sitting here who are making in India, can supply to India, can supply to the world, and supply to the esteemed audience here. But then these small little things is taking some time to push and make it happen. So steps are being taken. I'm only hoping that maybe a little faster, and and we'd love to contribute to the growth of the exchequer.
It was very articulately put. Thank you so much. All right. But with that, if there are any more questions, we are happy to take this. Wow. Okay. Yes.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Honorable Prime Minister.
We'll get a mic to you.
first of all, I like to thank the panel that they had been coming to the points which we raise every day among our council members, and the Honorable Prime Minister for having a vision that MSME is the backbone for the growth of the country and particularly for exports. Unfortunately, the policies laid down by Prime Minister are not being implemented on ground. I can list you few things. Like in MSME, when you go for export, your input cost means simply the raw material, the metal, gold, silver, or any other precious metal is not available at international prices. That is our first handicap, which was aptly said by one of your panelists. And if we could get the refined gold directly to the exporters, it will be the excellent idea. I don't know what is the situation now. Regarding drawback, it is never enough to compensate for the international price. Thirdly, nobody is here from the finance. Everybody was left with huge inventory in the COVID area period. That could not be exported right away. We had to produce the new one and add some from old one. So it resulted in higher inventory and resulted in packing credit or bank credits not being able to rotate in 180 days what is permitted for packing credit. So that's another MSME throttle point. So my request is that when the policies are formulated by council or by government, Prime Minister vision be incorporated, MSE be promoted, and it along with that automatically our artisans who produce regional artistry jewelry will be promoted, because these people don't get chance to go through the regular channels. It is the MSME which can help them and create these things. So I hope, for the suppliers, I wanted to know, our value addition is 3.5 to 7%. And whereas this cost for supplying metal, particularly silver, if they can answer what is the cost which they charge, apart from all the costs which are incurred, what they say as a premium or whatever, it is unviable. That is why they are not getting the demand from exporters. It has to be a viable price. So my another suggestion is that let government import a small cess on import when they are already having such a high duty, and that cess be used to supply metal at international prices to the local exporters. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, do you want to address that point?
Sir, just to answer your question, basically, I mean, most of the suppliers here on this panel would agree that there's no differential between the international price and the price at which we're giving it to them. I'm sure, I think Mr. Kunal will also agree, because there's one standard price which is available for all the suppliers, which is traded on the market. So if it's $20, $30 overseas, it's the same which is going to be given to you.
Sir, there is added cost there.
Well, 1 minute, hold on. So in terms of gold price, it's the same. Now, when you're talking about a premium, there could be a difference in the premiums. That's it.
When we are dealing with the desk also, the rate that we are watching and the rate that we are cutting, there is always a difference over these.
No, I don't know. There could be some odd cases, but I'll tell you right now, with so much of information available, you have the prices across your screens at what is prevailing in the market. Then how are you saying it's costly? I mean, the price is different.
We can just have a look at the different bullion sites. Different bullion sites are running $1 rate per ounce. But आपकी जो dealing desk है वो हमेशा premium पे काटती है. हालांकि not the premium that they are asking, वो तो अलग add-on होएगा. But जो premium वो बोलते हैं वो हमेशा different होगा. Plus $1 per ounce.
I will suggest one more thing. There could be some reasons for the a slight difference in the prices, but the customers have already have the options to please leave an order. Suppose the price of gold is around 2030, you can leave an order for 2025 or 2028, whatever is preferable to you. So the question of difference in prices does not arise at all there.
That is not visible in the physical market.
I think, I mean, there must be an odd case, but I'm definitely not going to agree to think, yeah.
Sir, we are simply asking the value addition. Mean, if 225 is the rate, how much will you get it?
Okay, I think that one is taken. Why don't you want to address?
Say, the rates are already decided internationally and the same gold rate is applied. Of course, there are some charges like bank charges which we add to, and it depends upon the how much cost we are incurring for importing and what is our service charge. To that extent, generally charges are to the extent of 1%, not more than that. Huh? Silver to bank has not been dealing with the silver. We have been dealing with the gold.
That's the problem. That's what I have to say. पिंचा जी ने कहा कि जी पुराने एक्सपोर्टर हैं उनको कोई दिक्कत नहीं होती. पिंचा जी थोड़ा प्लीज. मैं अशोक सेठ रीजनल चेयरमैन जीजेपीसी नॉर्थ इंडिया से जो हमारी एक्सपोर्ट है मैं 60-65% जो है वो एग्जीबिशन के थ्रू होती है. मैं सिल्वर एक्सपोर्टर हूँ, मैं भी एग्जीबिशन के थ्रू ही अपना एक्सपोर्ट करता हूँ. पिछले 40-42 साल से एक्सपोर्ट कर रहा हूँ. पहले रिप्लेनिशमेंट मिलती थी, कोई दिक्कत नहीं होती थी. अब जब से आप कहते हैं कि ड्रॉबैक देंगे नहीं एग्जीबिशन पे, रिप्लेनिशमेंट के जो प्राइसेस हैं वो इतना ज़्यादा है कि रिप्लेनिशमेंट ले नहीं पाते. सप्लाई वो दे नहीं रहे कोई भी बैंक. पहले एमएफडीसी देता था, एसबीआई देता था. अब कोई भी बैंक सिल्वर एक्सपोर्टर को एंटरटेन ही नहीं करता. वो कह रहे हैं कि कमीशन उतनी ज़्यादा चार्ज कर रहे हैं जितना हमारा मार्जिन ही नहीं है. अब सवाल ये आता है एक्सपोर्टर जाए कहाँ? रिप्लेनिशमेंट मिल नहीं सकती, ड्रॉबैक आप देना नहीं चाहते एग्जीबिशन पे, तो क्या करेंगे लोग? तो कैसे एक्सपोर्ट बढ़ेगी? जो 60-70% एक्सपोर्ट हमारी नॉर्थ इंडिया से हो रही है, गोल्ड की या सिल्वर की. गोल्ड वाले को कुछ ना कुछ जुगाड़ है और रिप्लेनिशमेंट मिल जाती है. सिल्वर वालों को तो रिप्लेनिशमेंट नहीं मिलती, ड्रॉबैक आप देते नहीं. तो प्लीज़ थोड़ा इस बात को देखिए कि ड्रॉबैक मिलना चाहिए एक्सपोर्ट के ऊपर जो एग्जीबिशन के थ्रू होती है एक्सपोर्ट.
Okay, I think we can take a couple of questions more. We have that much time.
Yes,
Thank you.
along with that, ladies and gentlemen, we really acknowledge all your concerns and queries here, but we really have to conclude the session here now. I request the moderator to please conclude the session.
We'll just take one more.
Sure.
Yeah. This is a question regarding partial cancellation of bond, because if we are going to include all size of exporters in one bond, which is being given, so somebody has availed 100 grams, somebody has availed 25 kilos, and they are both waiting in the same line to get their bond discharge. The concept of IGCR was evolved to simplify this, but I think almost maybe 9 months we are down the line and nothing has happened. So can we please expedite this, because this is adding to the transaction cost of the large exporters whose huge sums are blocked under bank guarantees. And another thing is about the drawback. I think there has been so much discussion, we can forget about it at the moment. I'm sure something is happening. I think that should be enough. But the partial cancellation is very important. And yes, the banks are allowed to take foreign currency payments for the gold, silver that we purchase in lieu of exports in foreign currency. But the nominated agencies,
Once again, I request the moderator to conclude the session.
Okay.
We would really like to wrap up.
somebody is showing me a red signal, so I think I can stop.
Thank you so very much for acknowledging that. Ladies and gentlemen, exactly we were supposed to end at
just
5
1 minute.
p.m., but it's already
Yes.
6:15 p.m.
See, all these export problems, whatever has been told, tomorrow the Director General Foreign Trade is coming in the morning session. It's one of the first time he is coming. So all of you should come and we'll do a question answer session. He is the one who is dealing with these exact issues. See, of course, government, how it functions, we do not want to explain here. So Director General Foreign Trade, one point contact where this whole, because he does this, question answer session. So I request everybody of you will continue this session tomorrow and let us have this session with him. He will exactly understand what, because it is his job to increase the exports and what are the bottlenecks too. So he has consented. Please, I'll request everybody. Thank you.
Definitely. I think this is the right way to end this session here. Definitely, everybody, you all can come tomorrow. We have a lot to share. And yes, we would like to conclude this session here. Before we conclude this session, I request once again Professor Sundaravali to please join us back on the dais. Along with that, I request Mr. Anil Sankhwal and Mr. Ashok Seth to please join us on the dais to deliver token of appreciation to all the panelists and definitely to Professor Sundaravali here. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a huge round of applause for such a wonderful session once again. And you can join us with the other panelists. 20 seconds of mic. Actually, we are already with the questions. That's the problem. We hope you all had a great day with us, and we really hope to see you all tomorrow also. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience tonight. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of day one conference. We are really looking forward to meet you all tomorrow also. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. We are expecting more thoughts, more ideas, more conversations, more such interactions tomorrow with you all. Once again, thank you so much for your presence.